the lily of the valley. Sweet Jesus, you're the bright and morning.
And what makes this up is that everyone feels is important and valid in a relationship. You cannot just be in a relationship following just whatever you're told. I want to do, yes, it's the way you want. Yes, let us do what we want. Yes, let us. You don't have that liberty. There is a lady that said she left her husband. And the reason why the husband was left by this lady is that this man would not do anything by himself. There is nothing he could initiate. When the woman says, I love you, he says, me too. I will drink water. The man says, me too. I am going to sleep. The man says, me too. I am going to do this. The man says, me too. So all things that the woman said, the man said, me too. And the woman waited for this man to change and begin to do things that also, she felt like, I am now, whatever I decide, this man is just unquestioningly, he is following me. This is not love, it's something else.
This is not what.
And if it was not, I was looking for a man, not a woman. Person who would lead me, give me direction, challenge me when I am wrong, rebuke me and show me direction, tell me this is wrong. A father in the other ones. Women don't look for just that, they look for father. Father is authority. The woman is not looking for just love, is looking for authority, care that has authority.
Not playboy.
Not somebody that is not having authority. And the woman likes, now I want to have somebody who is responsible. Responsibility is attached to authority. And they say, I want commitment. I want somebody who understands what we are doing. And that's what the lady will say, maturity. That's a gentleman. A person who will take it over and lead me to what I was supposed to be. One lady said to us also, I like God for those ladies because their eyes were easily open. And she says, I was in a relationship with a brother. A brother is not a sinner. He is not trying to lead me to fornication. He's a God-fearing. But I felt he has no leadership in him. Say, why I feel that? Anytime we have a meeting, we go there. Whatever I ask to eat is that which this man will ask. Whatever I say, where I say we shall meet, whatever time, anything I propose, my proposals were reigning in this. And there is no any time, even when I do something wrong, I propose something wrong, this man does not correct it. And I say, am I ready to be a man in this relationship? Am I ready to be a man in a marriage? I said, no, I don't want to be a man. And he says, you took the courage, and he met. She was not having that courage to break the relationship. But a man of God comes and trains them in a seminar. Youth seminar says, it's better to break a relationship than to break a marriage. Or to live in hell called marriage. Because you know when you are wrong and you're making the wrong decision and you are going on to make that wrong decision. I said, behaviors you see in a relationship, in courtship, they will not change when a person get married. Don't think he will change when he get married. He will become even worse. He will perfect in that area. He will become worse because there are some things you are very cautious when you are coping, when you're in a relationship. You are not easily open up to the other person. But the time comes, then your true colors come. Why? We marry personality, but we live with character. We marry personality, but we live with the character. So what happened to this lady? Ingo da goodness, I told brother, you are nice. But I was not looking for your type. I was not looking for a type. I want a man. A man is authority. And I want a person with authority who can correct me. I am not ready to be a man in this relationship. I want a man who can guide me, guide the children, tell them this is the way, tell them the correction, give them the rule, give them instruction. This is what I'm looking in marriage. And then after he left, he found a wonderful man.
Yeah,
she found a wonderful man, but this man is also my friend. And I thank God it is through my friend that I came to know the lady. They are serving God and doing great. Then that day she was telling us that she also said to us, you see this man? He's a man. He has authority. He has love. He has authority. And the woman is looking for that love, authority that I cannot get lost. And there are men who do not have that. They don't have that. Please, let us arise to our place of power. Let us arise to the place of influence. And this is the only way we are able to save the families. Now, we are saying this because it is a man who will determine if you are going to be intruded in that marriage by external forces or you can close the gap. You are the one to decide the it because you are the leader. You are the leader. The leader, the king is the commander of the army. You're the one who commands the army. So you are to show the direction. Where is this family going? Now look at this and get this very well so that you understand what I mean. A man married a wife. They stayed in a place where they were living in a city, and they stayed for several years. I think it was around 3-4 years. After that, he built a very beautiful home at his rural place. Very beautiful home. And when he built a very beautiful home, he took the wife there. And he told the wife, because now we have the farm, we have the cows, we have all this. You need to be home now, make the home good. You will leave me there. So what happened? The wife comes. This wife, the man hires people to help her in that farm. And he is sending salaries every month. He does not require the wife to pay. Number two, all the produce of the farm, the man does not concern himself with everything that comes out of the farm. Tells the wife, this is for your pocket money. And in addition, he was sending money for upkeep. So that the wife, whatever she is getting, they are not strained because of lack of money. And it went on for several years. I think the same amount of years or about 6 years. Then the wife rioted. Because the man is rarely at home. The wife rioted and he said, rioted and said, I want divorce. So this man could not understand this woman. How do you want divorce? I have done the best. I've given you the home, the best. I am the best husband. Are you doubting me of anything? The woman says, no, you are a very good man. And then now the elders are called. Parents come together. And the woman is told, explain why you want divorce. And you don't want to stay in this marriage. The husband starts and says what he has done in our relationship. And everything required. The woman stood and said, what my husband has said, it is true. It is true. I have lacked nothing in terms of the materials. And all those things he said, the money he has been sending, he has not even asked me how much I get from the farm. And I get a lot of money. All the money I get, they are here, I can account for the money. But he has never asked me. But I have one problem. There is something I lack in this marriage. So I said, what? You have given me all this? What? Say, him. I lack him. I did not marry the cows. I did not marry the farm. I did not marry the house. I did not marry the money. I did not marry the workers that you hear. I did not marry all these comfort years. I married him. And if I miss him, to me this marriage doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And now the people realize and say, hey, it's okay. Now you are speaking a point. That means you, man, you have done all those things thinking they are important. But you are left a very important issue and unrest. That is yourself. Your presence to your wife.
Yeah.
And there's a man say, surely I am wrong. And we say again in marriage now, you cannot supply wants and think you are supplying a need.
Yeah.
So you may be saying, I have done everything. Everything to this man, but he's not changing. Everything to this woman, but it's not changing. What have you done? Maybe you are busy concentrating yourself to give the needs, the wants instead of the needs. Maybe you are busy doing what you think is right to be done, but you have not asked the one who is receiving if it's okay.
Yeah, yeah.
The one who is receiving the service is the one who is supposed to say it's okay or not. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, as we continue to discuss about this issue of boundaries, how far the two of you should go? What are the things, the rules that are supposed to limit the two of you as a husband and wife? Because we understand now, there are duties that I have to do to my wife. And this duty the wife is to do to me. Can she delegate her duty? Like this man, the way he did it, just throws it at his wife out there and then think he is happily married. Say, my wife is there. You can see her anytime you want yourself, but not her when she wants to see you. She can't. But when is able to come, don't ask, I will ask. So there are even women in relationship. They don't have consent to have their husband when they want.
Yeah.
It is their husband who have them when they want. Is that fair? Is that fair? I saw a woman tell her husband, my body is not your father's farmland. My body is not your father's farmland. That means it is not your inheritance. You cannot inherit it. Imagine a woman telling you now, our body is not your father's farmland. It's not your inheritance. So in other words, you can't have her anytime you want because it's not your inheritance. And what does the Bible say?
She has put boundaries.
She has put a boundary already and says, you cannot touch me. It's not your inheritance. But what does the Bible say? The body of the woman belongs to the man, and the body of the man belongs to the woman. But if the woman tells you now, my body is not your farmland, it's not your father's farmland, that means it is not your inheritance. What does it mean to you as a man? So, should we have some boundaries drawn between the two of us and say, me, you would come to me when I want, and let it be clear. And when I don't want you, don't come to me. That is what was happening in tradition. That is why when we come to our culture, where I come from, when men grew to a certain age, they built a house different from their matrimonial bed or matrimonial home. They build a house. So it is the wife who comes when the man has invited her. If the man does not want her, she stays. And it happened like that. And she cooks, she brings the food. They don't even eat together. The man eats.
Furthermore, he has more than one wife. And,
there are those who even didn't have more than one wife, but still they did not have, they still earned those kind of things.
Yes. I think as you're talking, I hated marriage because of that. My father is a man who had many wives. Of course, I think the legally married, I think there were 6. And others whom we don't know. Unknown. And I could see what was happening. My stepmom and the other one, my mom, they could all cook. And when they cook, every woman is carrying food.
Taking to the man.
Taking to the
3 plate, 4 plate.
Yes.
1 stomach.
1 stomach. And of course, you would choose the best.
The best out of the
3 plates.
The 3 cooks.
The 3 chefs here. So I hated that most. Secondly, it happened that I spent time with one of my relatives. I'm very close. To be precise, our eldest sister. And what was happening in our marriage made me to hate even marriage more. My father, he was called Lion, and of course when he comes home, he was roaring like a lion, and we all could just run away. Somehow you could not even tell how your father looks like because he's like a terrorist. So it happened that now I've gone to stay with my sister, and the way still they were living, it was very horrible because you meet, you're doing all duties. All duties, most of the duties that you're not supposed to do. I'll clean the beddings. I'll go and make their bed. I'll make sure all their clothes are ironed. And sometimes I could get very mad. I iron even innerwears for my sister, and she could come and congratulate me. And I was ironing so that she won't get mad and at least tell me I should not be doing that. So you could see there was no boundary here between where she could even sometimes call. You are called in the bedroom, they are in their bed, and they are
calling you to give you instructions when they are sleeping in their own bed.
So I just hated everything. And it went to an extent, the husband, sometimes you want to apply dye in his head. So sometimes you'll be called to apply this man. You are just young person, you are called to apply this man dye on his head. Either I apply him, and my sister is sitting there watching, or the daughter is applying the father dye on his head. So when I saw this thing, I hated. And as a result, you could see these people, they don't have harmony. We could be screened by this husband. At what time did your... And we are being called one by one because they could not trust each other. They could not even respect one another. So you are called. At what time did she come from the place of work? Who came here? When I was away, who came here? Is there any man who visited? So you can imagine answering all these questions, being interrogated because of our marriage. Those scenarios made me to hate marriage, made me to hate men, and made me to just feel like this is something very, very bad.
Now,
why?
as
There
you have
were
put
no
it,
boundaries.
as you have put it now,
Yes.
you have talked about you being called to the bedroom
Yes.
to be given instructions.
Instructions.
How should a bedroom of the married people be? Who should be there? Who should not be there? Should there be a limit? Or anybody can come, even your best friend can come and wake you up when you are sleeping and say, "Ah, man, you are late. Wake up."
The word of God has given us instruction that marriage should be honored by all. And the bed, where is the bed? The bed is in the bedroom. So in the bedroom there should be privacy. If you give your bedroom to everybody, there are things. Of course, there shall be no privacy now. If anybody can come into your bedroom, first of all, nobody will respect you. That cover of at least privacy. You uncover yourself. You are exposing yourself. Some people, they say, we are in a modern world. We are in a modern world. Anybody can come in. Anybody can come and wake you up. Anybody can meet you there. You can bring people and just take them all over, and they see even where you sleep. Well and good, but there should be limits. There should be a privacy, meaning that when it comes to bedroom, that is your own territory. That is your own place, a place that third parties are not supposed to come. I've talked with some young people, especially when the teenagers. Some of them, they come and they expose themselves. Some of them, they confined with me, and I pity them because some of them, they say, when I started to go and visit my mom and my dad in their bedroom, the freedom that they gave us, I meet them the way they are sleeping. This is the time my body started to lust for men. And since that time, I lacked control. So I have been sleeping with men because of what I have been seeing. When I visit them, when I see them, I just feel there's something that I should also do. So there are some teens who have come and they have confided with me that I have slept with boys in our apartment, in our estate, simply because I was getting access to my parents' bedroom. Others, I remember of a young lady. She's married now, but she said the way her mom was behaving. Her mom, unfortunately, she was a single mother, so she was bringing men in, out. This one in, out. This one in, out, and this affected this girl.
And she couldn't go and take the bed sheets.
Yes.
And they are messed up.
Yeah.
And the mother would give her
to go and wash. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So let me tell you, guys, there is impartation when it comes to garments. There is a covenant through garments. So even people who wash your garment, they don't just go free. There is an impartation. There is a covenant. There is also a covenant through food. So this poor girl, she said her behavior just changed because of what was happening.
And then another funny thing is that they used to be in a room, not a house, a room.
Where
a single room where was separating is the bed sheet.
Yes.
And then she was sleeping just there, and she's an adult. She is in Form 2, Form 1.
Yes.
And the mother would do anything with this man, and she wouldn't listen to everything because the gap is just the sheet,
the curtain, and she was spoiled. So there are girls who are growing in such environment where there is no privacy at all between the couples now, and this is something that is eating many couples. Some of them, you hear a couple, they have a 7-year-old boy or girl who sleeps in the same bed with the parents, with them. And some of them, they can do anything. They can do anything, including sexual intimacy, in the presence of their children, saying they don't know anything. They don't know anything. I wish there are some teachers, especially those who deal with the ECDs. The children, sometimes during break time, you will see them practicing what they saw their parents do. I saw Dad doing this. Come and let us practice it. Why? Because people, they don't have a privacy. They don't have a limit. They don't have a boundary. They are spoiling and destroying a generation ignorantly. So when it comes to a bedroom should be specifically for the couple, for the parent, for us.
Before you continue there, I remember maybe we were in primary school, and the things were written in Parent magazine at that time. Parent magazine, those who have seen the Parent magazine, you know, at that time it was so much selling. And we were reading some of the things. It's Parent, but we were reading when we were in high school, and not even high school, even primary school. And one of the things was, and it was a shock even to us, that there is a lady, a daughter, who became pregnant for her father without having sexual intimacy with her father. And what was she doing? The mother and the father would have sex on their bed. Or what was released on the bed, the child would come and cover herself when she is naked with the same blankets, and she came into contact with all what they were using, and then the seed of her father got into contact with her, and she conceived for her father. It works because biologically they say those seeds can last for 48 hours. They cannot die for 48 hours. So if these people do that and they leave those things there, the seed is still alive. So if this daughter comes again and just takes those things alive when she's naked and exposes herself, what will happen? She conceives. So it was done. It was a study that was conducted at that time, and they wanted to know, how did this daughter conceive? She did not have intercourse with her father, but how did she conceive? So narrating her story and what had happened, so that is why the study was done and it's concluded. So parents, you can expose your child to such kind of danger and damage a generation that we are raising up because of the behavior. You just become careless. You can do anything, and in their presence, you can caress before your children, and you don't see it as like a problem. You go and do whatever you want to do. Some even leave their bedroom door open. So whoever passes even can see what they are doing, and they don't care what they are doing. I have seen, even we have gone to some places, even you go to hotels, and you have accommodation somewhere in a hotel. You can go to some hotel and you see some people are so careless. They don't care even about their privacy. They can start doing some things there and the door is open. So when you are passing to your door, you can easily see them what they are doing. They don't even care about closing the door. They don't care about their own privacy. And if a person can do that in an hotel, tell me, what about their own house? It either means even their bedroom, they don't close. Even what they are doing is not hidden from there. So advise us, man, because now it comes to the very sensitive things, because women are more sensitive than men.
Yeah, I challenge every woman to take control when it comes to marriage and when it comes to the things that are very sensitive. Men sometimes they may not see it as a big deal, but when it comes to a woman, if a woman disconnects or there's that sense dies in her, she takes everything for granted. She will pay dearly. She will pay dearly because some have just taken it lightly and they have delegated what they are not supposed to delegate.
Yeah,
it is somehow shameful. Shameful because if you allow either your own daughter or your own relative who is staying at under your roof or maybe your house manager to go and make your bed, you have failed. If you are giving them those beddings to wash, you have failed as a woman, and you are destroying your house with your own hands. If they are coming to clean your bedroom, you have failed.
Some even collect a lot. Some garments were just thrown.
Not even garments. Some they collect even some. I hear people call them CDs. The used ones, the condoms, used ones, and these are the people that are going to dispose your waste. And when they look at you, they wonder what kind of people are these. So you can see how I reached a level of somehow despising my own brother-in-law. It's unfortunate they are late. Despising them because of how they were behaving. You lack even the point of respecting these people. So there are people who are claiming that their marriages have been invented, that the devil has come. There is no devil who is there. If there is a devil, it is your negligence that has somehow you have become that enemy of your own marriage. Because if you don't honor your own marriage, if you don't respect your own marriage, the outsiders will not respect it. So we get respect of our marriages according to the level of respect that we have accorded to our own marriage. So when it comes to women, to mothers, they should keep boundaries. Even if you are very busy as a bee, don't know, make sure there are some things that you are not permitted at all to delegate. When it comes to your own bedroom, when we came to this city, that was back, I remember the year 2006. The tatters that we collected in this city, almost every firstborn girl, 90% they had slept with their fathers.
That's fact.
90% confessed that they had slept with their fathers. And it was something demoralizing when you look at this 16, 17, 18, 20 years. She's saying, I slept with my dad. Why? I was doing everything. My mom could go to work, so I am told to clean, and my dad has overslept.
Others are drunk.
So how did you sleep with your dad? I just went, and my dad, I met him. He was out of his bed. He was naked, and I was scared. I just stood there staring at him. He, come, daughter, come, my daughter. And he just embraced me, and I met myself. I have slept with my dad. And these are the things, because you told us the sex organs of men are their eyes. Their eyes. So, and because of that failure, especially when it comes to a woman, she must begin to, when it comes to bedroom, she must now go outside the bedroom. My bedroom is intact. The things of my bedroom, the activities of my bedroom, they are my responsibilities. Now, if you have a girl, if you have a daughter who is growing, as she matures, let her know that at some point, at some age, the way she was used to come, she is 12 years, she's 13 years, she's 15 years. Now, the way she was coming when she was 6 years and sitting on dance laps,
It's not the same.
When she is 13, she sits on this generator here. There's a chemistry. There's something. When she sits on dance laps, and she's sitting on something, that warmth, that she will begin to get lost. She may start crying, looking at you. You'll think that, and when you ask, baby, my girl, why are you crying? Oh no, I'm just okay. She's crying because she is communicating. She is feeling something for you. She wants you. She needs you. She needs you to give her what she wants, and she is unable to communicate. But many mothers, many fathers, they are very careless.
A 17-year-old
Girl.
is just sitting on her father's lap and
Yeah.
just holding daddy's daughter relationship.
And it turns to be something else. So I was talking to girls on last week when we had forums. You were with teenagers, boys, and I was with girls. And when I talked to them, the way even they should behave before they are done, some of them, this is the time they were remembered, oh my God, so I should not be overstepping. So you can see this girl, she's the size of her mom, and she's just going, she has a cashot, and she's sitting on her
father.
So some things they were wondering, oh, this can bring a problem. And when you ask some of them, when you sit on your dad, what do you feel? Some of them, they just bow down because they don't want to confess. There are some emotions, not now emotions of father-daughter. It is emotion of the body, sexual emotions. And we shouldn't begin, and this begins with a woman. You begin to shape your girl. You begin, right now, our boys, there are some people, when I see them, they want to overstep. I remind, oh, you are grown now. There are some things, even when they mom, we need this, I tell them, you are grown. These things you need to go and do yourself. Because if I begin to bring them very close to some sensitive things, they may forget they are becoming men. So this is something that a woman should take charge. You should take charge. You show even this girl how she is supposed to be sitting. How she is supposed to be sitting. Because some of them, they are very careless. Even when they are on the lounge, sitting room there, she can sit anyhowly in the presence of our own brothers, in the presence of dad. And this is now the thing that is happening, especially during this pandemic. We are fond of a boy impregnating sisters,
2 sisters,
3 sisters, and mothers are crying. They don't know what is happening because you just take everything lightly. So even when it comes to boundaries, we should also begin to declare boundaries between our children as they grow.